Uh, you are Miss Jahnavi.
Yes.
Jahnavi is your middle name?
So Chandana is my
Chandana is your name. Okay. So Chandana, I would like to inform my fellow board members that Chandana is basically from Telangana.
Yes, sir.
She is BIT Chemical Engineering, IIM Indore, was in Corporate Law Service,
Yes, sir.
now in Revenue Service.
Yes, sir.
And you like Carnatic music and reading challenges on internet websites.
Yes, sir.
These are the things I could read from your DEF. Is there anything you would like to add?
So I'm currently on extraordinary leave, sir, from Revenue Service.
And you resigned from Corporate Law Service?
Yes, sir.
So, fine. Why exactly you're so desperate to get into these top three services? I mean, Corporate Law Service for an IIM graduate is a wonderful service, but you left that for Revenue Service. Now, even Revenue Service, you're on extraordinary leave, so effectively means that you're giving it relatively a low priority. So, why? Is it a sign of desperation?
So to the first point, I agree that Corporate Law Service and Revenue Service have been very, very good services, and I was very satisfied with it. But my initial focus when I started this examination was on becoming an Indian Administrative Service Officer. And that is the reason why I wanted to take an extraordinary leave. Because initially when I was giving the examination with service, I did not think I was able to do the justice that I want to do. So this will be my final goal, to try once and to be happy in Revenue Services going forward.
Okay, Chandana. Before I take up a few issues so that we can have a fruitful conversation, I can see that you are basically from Telangana and Telugu is your mother tongue.
Yes, sir.
And why exactly you took Sanskrit in the qualifying language rather than Telugu or Hindi, which generally the students take from your reason?
So my main reason has been that I've studied Sanskrit up till my 12th standard, sir.
It was only a qualifying examination. You could have cleared in Hindi, you could have cleared in Telugu as well. So they cannot. Either you're trying to make some statement, or you were really bad in both these languages, Telugu and Hindi.
So I think I could have taken Hindi and Telugu because I can speak, read and write. But I believe that I wanted to remember Sanskrit also, and this examination was a way to keep in touch with Sanskrit, something that I learned. I would want to keep a memory of it, and reading and writing was what was being judged in the examination, and I thought it was a good examination of how much do I remember from my 12th.
What exactly the sociology of continuing with the Sanskrit as Sanskrit for all practical purposes is a dead language, but still we have, for example, this examination and it is more or less a language which has constitutional backing in terms of at least two constitutional articles, one of them schedule itself. What is the rationale of continuing this classical language and unnecessarily trying to push it like a living language?
So I believe that Sanskrit may not be used, but it lives on in every Indian language with its influence and words.
Latin, so does Arabic, doesn't matter. The thing is, it's not a living language. It's not a language which is spoken in common parlance.
So in my opinion, the steps that are intended is to ensure that people who are interested, because it has a historical connotation, and also that a lot of our historical literature and so on have also been in Sanskrit. So the promotion of Sanskrit in a way is to ensure that we have people who take up the language and ensure that it remains an important source for us going forward.
You're currently Revenue Service Officer, Income Tax.
Yes, sir.
Income tax is a tax, customs is a duty. What is the difference? Why certain kind of charges are duty, they are levied as duty, and other as taxes?
So to what I understand, tax is what is charged on an individual, whereas duty is something that's charged on a good, or a good that is produced here or outside, something that's charged on a good and something that is charged on an individual.
Okay, and is there any difference in terms of the jurisprudence of it? I mean, or both are same?
I believe there are certain intricacies also, sir, but I would have to read about it.
Fine, thank you. Sir.
Chandana, your subject is sociology.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me briefly what is happening to the institution of joint family?
So I'm drawing upon the National Family Health Service over a long period of time, which show that the average number of people living per house have dropped. And even the census of 2011, for example, has stated data that we have more nuclear families than joint families. But I would also want to draw upon a concept in sociology which says that the judgment of a joint family must not be only about the household, but it's also about how they are connected ritually. So even I think that is very strong in India to date when it comes to rituals, marriages and so on. So I think a family is very joint in that aspect.
Maybe they are emotionally still, there is a bonding, but staying separately physically in a nuclear family has some certain repercussions, like rearing of the children.
Yes.
What is your view about that? Do the children miss their grandfather and grandmother in some way?
So I agree that yes, children would be missing that aspect of emotional love that grandparents give. But we are also seeing a certain type of families where caretakers are in place to take care of children. Some places where we see certain grandparents who are transiting, who come for certain months and go back. So these are certain arrangements that are coming in place with that.
Okay. You're a chemical engineer.
Yes.
Can you tell me what was the gas involved in Bhopal gas tragedy?
So the gas involved was methyl isocyanate.
And why it leaked?
So to what I remember that there were multiple causes for it, but one thing that was majorly blamed was about security inspections that were not in place and for the leak to happen.
Or the water leakage which increases pressure?
Yes, sir. That is the main cause. Yes.
Okay. What is the laughing gas?
So laughing gas is nitrogen oxide, N2O if I'm not wrong, sir.
Nitrous oxide.
Nitrous oxide, and that creates a sort of irritant within our throat which leads us to keep laughing. This is what I recollect of it.
Can it be used as a weapon in warfare?
Considering that it can be an irritant, yes, sir, it could be used.
Okay. Your third preference is Indian Police Service.
Yes, sir.
Recently we amended all the 3 criminal laws. Can you tell me the provisions which will help women in the new laws?
So certain provisions that will help women would be with respect to one, reporting of crimes, and two is with respect to sorry, so I'm not able to exactly recollect the numbers or sections of it. But
It's all right, just tell me the provisions.
so one is with respect to sexual assault and rape. We have seen certain precautions, and then the second has been with respect to increasing punishments for certain ghastly crimes. And third provision has been with respect to.
Okay, read them.
Yes, sir, I'll read them.
One is EFIR,
Yes, sir. Yes,
that
sir.
will help women.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Then making crimes gender neutral,
Yes, sir.
arbitrary, for example. And then bundling all the provisions relating to women at one place. There are so many provisions which will help women.
I'll read them, sir.
You read them because it's your preference also. Okay. Now you play Veena.
I've started practicing Veena, sir. It's been 6 months that I'm into it.
How many types of Veenas are there?
So there are more than 18 types, but the main prominent ones that are there are two, which is Saraswati Veena, which goes with South Indian Carnatic music, and Rudra Veena that goes with North Indian music.
Yeah. Okay. That's it.
Ms. Chandana,
Yes, sir.
right? So you have done very well in 2 exams, one after one, and you got selected. Would you remember interview marks in 2020 and 2022?
So 2020 I got 160,
Okay.
and 2022 I got 190.
Okay, that's a great improvement, and I hope this time you will go beyond 200. You can do well. I want to ask you about organization called BRICS. Have you heard of them? BRICS.
Yes, sir.
What do they stand for?
So this is an acronym for the countries that are there: Brazil, India. BRICS are Russia, I India, C China, and S South Africa, which joined later. And now we
Okay.
have certain more members who joined BRICS.
Good. Yeah, that's correct. And you are familiar with the functioning of the United Nations also. The UNSC, there are 5 permanent members. What has been your assessment of the effectiveness of the United Nations in the last, say, 1 decade?
So I want to take a minute.
Yes, please.
Sir, would you want me to talk about United Nations in general or United Nations Security Council?
See, the UNSC is the main core. They have the main responsibility for maintaining law and order and peace in the global world. So their performance is being questioned now, at least in the 2 major wars that are going on currently and also in other occasions. So I just want you to give a view. What do you think? Is it an effective organization or it has failed completely?
So I'm of the opinion that United Nations has certain measures to its credit, but in general, it has not fulfilled its role or what it was envisioned in 1945. I say this because when I talk about certain measures that it has done well, it has been a platform where people could communicate. 2 is it has been an important pillar even during COVID and so on, where WHO had an important role with respect to promoting rules and regulations. And 3 is it's very important in a rule-based order, and UN is trying to promote that. But that being said, it has not effectively been able to deliver. Be it the 2 wars, we have also seen conflicts. We've also seen how implementation of judgments given by International Court of Justice, for example, cannot be effectively functioned. So I think there are areas where we need strong reforms.
Okay, good. That's a good assessment. But then why is the Indian government so keen to join such a failing organization? What's your understanding?
So my understanding of it is we believe in reform over reorientation. So we want more reforms to come in place because there is an established order, and where more reforms come in place, we might be able to effectively go forward with it instead of reorienting ourselves and trying to bring a new organization in picture.
There is a kind of India's initiative to move in several organizations. One is, of course, the BRICS that you are familiar, and another is India, Russia, China, which is also happening at a foreign minister's level, and several other groupings, in a way that United Nations Security Council, if it gets completely ineffective or deadlocked, then India can move with those groupings. You know, I mean, India, Russia, China is a very important grouping of 3 emerging powers. So, in the context of the Russia itself being a permanent member, how do you see India's role in Russia-Ukraine war? Is it neutral? Is it sympathetic to Russia? A permanent member who has also been very helpful to India over a long time. Are we reciprocating our indebtedness to Russia in the Russia-Ukraine war?
So I'm of the opinion here that we are not. We are standing by our principles here, and we have supported measures that were drawn with respect to, for example, Bucha killings, where Russia was being held responsible. We were ready to take a stand and say that they must be investigated. So I believe we are principled and we are not reciprocating anything. But at the same time, we believe that we need a conclusion. We need dialogue to take place. We would want peace. We do not want more, because this is not an era of a war, has been a very prominent statement that has been made. So I believe our stance has been very neutral, but at the same time, very principle oriented.
Our Prime Minister said that what you are saying, this is not the era, but it has made no impact. And the earlier horrors of the war continues even after 2 years. So is it not the time for India to move in actively to bring about, in order to get justified as a permanent member kind of a country with the weight, rather than just uttering some ideological stance? Don't you think India should take more activist role? India has credentials. both sides are pretty well known, but why is India shying away?
So my understanding here is that it's a very complex issue, and both the sides see what they consider as a win very differently. So I believe that yes, India can consider playing a very important mediator role, but that would also need both the players to be ready to come to that mediation table. This is my understanding of it.
Good, very good. Well done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. So you're from BIT Misra, and then I am Indore.
Yes, sir.
So why it is called BIT Misra, not BIT Ranchi?
So Misra is the place where the college is located and where the land was initially even given to the college to spread. So that's why it has been known as BIT Misra only.
Well, there is a subdivision block, what it is?
So Misra is that tribal village. It was the name of a tribal village within 20 kilometers to the city of Ranchi.
Okay. Okay, are you aware of Kotter's change management design?
I've read about it in college, sir, but I do not exactly remember.
That it is in 8 steps.
Yes, sir.
You don't remember now?
Do not
Okay.
exactly remember.
Okay. No problem. Can you tell me difference between CPM and PERT? Critical path method and the PERT technique. What are the differences between these two techniques?
So again, I'll have to revise my concepts. I'm very sorry, I'm not able to exactly recollect.
Okay, can you tell me, in chemical reaction, how, in which way it can be converted into mechanical energy or electrical energy?
So this uses certain mechanisms. For example, when a chemical reaction happens, there is a certain level of energy which can be stored and which can be utilized in a different manner for mechanical energy. That is how, for example, petrol, for example, in a mechanical engine, the work that petrol does is how an engine will start working on, which is pumping in the gas where there's a reaction and then the pumping into a mechanical cycle. This is my understanding of it, sir.
You are saying it a correct thing, but not in a right manner. But you need to see how can you improve upon your answer. So my next question is about what is the problem in Manipur? Where are we lacking that we couldn't reach any solution for last 8-9 months?
So I believe that the main issue that is coming there is with respect to populations becoming divided on the lines of Kuki and Meitei, and that there is, after such a prolonged conflict, that there is a lot of concern on both the sides, and we are not able to bring both of them on a table of
But
negotiation.
population divide is there in Hindu Muslims also. The country is running. There is not a day-to-day violence taking place. But why violence? We are not able to control violence for 8-9 months in Manipur, small area, about 15,000-20,000 kilometers. Maybe the area of that area. But you know, have you studied that? What is the geographical area of Manipur? And what is the total population? A country of 145 crores, a government of 145 crores, not able to solve the problem of 30 lakh people or 25 lakh people in about 20,000 square kilometers. So you need to know what could be the reasons, what could be the politics behind it. Let's try to understand that.
Broadly, I've understood, sir, but I will read more on it.
Don't want to reply anything?
So I believe that there are multiple reasons. One has been with respect to the court judgment that talked about giving scheduled tribe status to Meitei. The order, that order has been, paragraph has been removed from the judgment now. The second aspect has also been with respect to how, if they were given tribal status, would there be an impact on education, employment and land rights within the hills and so on. So that is a concern. And three is how certain Meitei communities believe that there have been a lot of inward movement of...
Okay, last question from my side. How this prevention of sex determination, the amendment and the law has changed the demography of India. Can you make a one minute statement on that?
So I believe that the law that ensured that no sex determination can happen had ensured that the sex-rated birth, which was very low in certain districts of certain states, could be directly impacted, and to ensure that we could in long term ensure that gender does not become a main parameter for people to judge.
You have not answered my question in a way, but nonetheless, I would request my next panelist to take the question.
Ms. Chandana, you have been asked by one of the panelists regarding the Bhopal tragedy.
Yes.
As a consequence of this, one umbrella act was passed so that it takes care of the consequences of such kind of tragedy. Do you remember that? What was the...
So the act was with respect to insurance. I do not recollect the full name of the act, sir. It was to provide insurance and to ensure that there is a liability clause in it.
Apart from that,
I will read about it. Sorry.
Environment Protection Act.
Yes, I will amend it. Yes.
This is an umbrella act. It talks about the other rules regarding chemical industries also. So are you aware of the Hazardous and Waste Management Act rules which followed thereafter?
So
Because that applies to chemical industries.
yes. So some major rules have been about categorization of industries based on the color, and that is based on how much of effluents that they produce, red industries. So these cannot be in populated areas. The second has been about treatment, mandatory treatment. 3 has been about disclosures, that most of these industries would have to submit a report to their state boards about what are they doing to effectively counter.
To make it effective, there must be some punishment for that.
Yes, sir.
What is that?
I will read about it.
Okay. Are you aware that the violation of this also attracts a Prevention of Money Laundering Act?
No, sir. I will read about it.
Yes. So that one of the hazardous material or not making the pollution. So these are the provisions which get attracted under the PMLA also is one of the very stringent provisions applicable to chemical industries.
Yes.
Now, while you were working in the corporate ministry, during that period of preceding that, many companies' registration were cancelled. You remember?
Yes, sir.
What was the figure, roughly?
So it was a very huge number, but it happened in 2-3 cycles.
Yes.
So
What impact it had on the income tax? Any correlation between because you are perhaps associated with both the departments. So what impact it had? What was or could have on the income tax?
So I've not worked in the income tax department, so I do not.
Doesn't
exactly
matter.
But what I know is here, when Corporate Affairs Ministry did was to ensure that we curtail companies that are just on the paper and that are not in the registered offices. So we went around doing inspections and so on. When we didn't see a registered office, we brought down a list about companies that were not functioning. But the problem is, I believe that there were certain companies here which were paying taxes and which were showing money on their sheets without having a registered office. And we've had certain files come to Ministry of Corporate Affairs saying you cannot cancel the registration of this company and so on.
So it was not only the numbers which were cancelled, it had certain implications for them being on the record, because they could have been misutilized for different other purposes, hawala transactions, shell companies, etc. That was the real purpose behind it, which was that.
Yes.
Now the government of India says that it brought 2 major policy changes, 2 major structural changes, which led to increase in income tax, which led to revenue collection. These changes have been brought in the last 7-8 years. Can you recall those changes which led to increase? There's the government of India stand, led to increase in collection of revenue.
So only specific to direct taxes?
Only?
Is it only specific?
Only specific to direct taxes.
So one was the Vivad Se Vishwas scheme, which was about reducing litigations. And the second was bringing in a tax slabs becoming a lot more simpler. The new regime is trying to ensure that we have a much more simpler tax regime, and tax compliances have been eased with e-assessment systems and e-appeal systems.
And if it involves the entire tax collection, then you said that it is if confined to direct taxes. Suppose it is confined to the whole kitty of the government of India so far as revenue collection is concerned, then what structural changes you will attribute to?
So there's also been GST with respect to indirect taxes and the tax base.
But that is one of the reasons for which this got. Now coming to the budget part of it, what is current account deficit?
So current account deficit is with respect to the trade in goods and services that happens between countries. and that showcases where our trade is. Like, are we an importer or an exporter country?
That deficit, what adverse impact it has on the country's economy if the deficit is too large?
If the deficit is too large, it shows that we are more of an importing economy, and we are dependent on goods from outside, goods and services from outside.
Okay, you need to revisit this, the inflation and debt will increase on that particular aspect. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Chandana, it was nice talking to you. Your interview is over. I request you to please wait for the feedback session.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
So you got 190 last time,
Yes, sir.
right? And you got revenue with this.
Yes, sir.
How is your mains this time?
So I gave it with being in service, so I'd have to wait to see how I scored.
So you're not hoping to improve from the last time?
So I'm not so sure.
Not sure. Okay. In any case, you're in good service already. I'm sure you'll do better this time. But overall, Chandana, what is your take? You've been through mill multiple times, so you know what is expected of you. How will you rate your performance today yourself on those parameters? You believe that you did well, or you could have done a little better?
I could have done better, sir.
And what are the areas you believe that overall you believe that this fact was not right?
Some questions on chemical engineering, I believed I should have been so much more prepared to be able to answer.
See, if you look at your DAF, you'll realize it's power packed. So you studied management, you've studied chemical engineering, you've been a corporate law service officer, you've been a revenue service officer, and obviously sociology is your, so you have multiple domain included. So it will not be appropriate to expect you to be knowing all of it and be able to recall everything. So that I won't insist कि सब कुछ सारा तैयार कर जाइए. Obviously you brush up whatever is possible, but that's not my primary concern on the content thing. What do you believe that in terms of your communication, in terms of overall outlook, that could have been a little better?
So some more questions, I would have wanted to take a little more pause and be very specific on what I'm saying. I think some of the sentences, I was prepared, but it's just that I wasn't able to articulate it in the best possible manner. One pause and I could have given
Right. I mean, my advice also will be on those lines. See, I'll not be giving you long advice in terms of the content thing. You can gaze, and if I'm able to tell you 4 areas where you need to brush up, there may be another 7 areas where you need to brush up. So let us not get into it. I mean, you please gaze yourself that where you need to brush up. But in terms of the communication part, there are a few things you can work on. See, overall, since you're a sitting officer and you're going to be your 3rd selection this time. So on the basis of that, you can understand that the board is going to view your candidature a little differently, but in the interview, you're still a candidate.
Yes.
That attitude, I believe, should reflect throughout 30 minutes. You should have that humility, extra humility, in fact, because they'll be having an extra eye on you if kahin zameen se upar to nahi chal raha, right? So I'll request you to be that extra humble. I'm not saying there's anything that can be termed as arrogant here. Everything is fine, but you can be extra humble at places too. Coming to the specifics, in general, your walk-in is very good. Sitting posture is good, but you have a slightly leaning gesture. I'll advise you to sit erect. That will be better. Similarly, in terms of voice, I'm sure many people must have told you that sometimes the speed is very high, right? So you can work on that. It will also take care of the pause thing, as you've just mentioned. Pauses serves you another opportunity because they allow you to structure your answer even better, right? So my advice will be, if you reduce your speed by say 15-20% and utilize that extra time in further structuring your answer, you'll do very, very good. 190 is wonderful. I mean, that's a wonderful score. You can repeat that, but you can better that. And for that, I'll advise you to work on those aspects. In general, hand movement is fine. Eye contact was okay. And flow, as I said, once you reduce your speed, the total effectiveness of the communication will increase. My only advice effectively as a set is that it shouldn't appear that you're in hurry to reach there. I am saying it metaphorically, I am saying it in a literal sense. So please work on that. It should appear that you're okay with what you are, and you have that patience, and it should reflect in your overall communication. You're a wonderful candidate. I'm sure you must have done very good even in the mains examination, no matter your hesitation. And this time I think you should take your top service. There's no point giving another year, right?
Thank you, sir.
All the best.
Can you recall what were the questions which were asked last time? A few.
So one was on my salary, about why would I leave a high-paying corporate job and come here, and there a discussion continued about why a lot of students are doing what you're doing, and questions were also on labor reforms and ease of doing business.
Okay. Anything which you couldn't answer well?
So nothing very specific.
Okay. Okay.
All the best.
Thanks.
Thank
All
you,
the
sir.
best.
Thank you, sir.
All the best.
Thank you, sir.